All right, what you got?
So I'm just gonna throw this one at you.
All right.
And I already know the answer to this question. So maybe I'm gonna ask you this question and I'm gonna answer it for you. And you can tell me if I'm crazy. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Is your glass half full or half empty? We're live in the studio again on a beautiful day. I'm your host, Negative Nelly, aka Drewby, with my good friend and co-host, Trevor Bob. What's up, Trevor?
Good morning, brother.
How you doing today?
Doing great, man.
Good. Talk to me about your weekend, Trev.
Oh, it was eventful, man. I did a lot of adulting. Got some bills paid. Got that stimulus check. Went out, paid some bills.
Nice.
Didn't get to see any of it.
So yesterday was a bad day. I don't know if you heard or not, but Screech died. Screech is from your era, yeah? Saved by the Bell.
Dude, really? No, I heard the other day that he was sick.
Yeah, Screech died of cancer. You know it's a bad fucking day when Screech dies.
Yeah, that's horrible, man.
So something pretty cool about our podcast last week with the friendship.
Yeah, I like that one.
I had a lot of people reach out to me about that one.
Dude, I went home and I did a little bit of reflecting. You know, you get talking about it. It's just something that you don't really put a lot of thought into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like direct thought.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, going home and doing a little bit of reflecting, I had to make a couple phone calls, touch out to some people. And
Yeah, that's kind of the point of that. And my good friend Anna, who we talked about in there, actually reached out to me after that, and we talked a little bit about that podcast. But what was pretty cool was she said, "What's the purpose of your podcast?" And so then that led to a conversation that we started talking about just that. Striking up conversations, making people think, making people reflect. I can't believe how many people told me that they reached out to friends, that they had friends reach out to them. I have people calling me up, telling me they're toilet droppers. I have people referring as ride or dies. So pretty cool. I mean, kind of a small audience, but the people that we did reach out to, I seem to think that was pretty cool for them to reflect in their own lives and their own friendships.
yeah, pretty good topic, man. Like I said, I went back home and I reflected on it. It made me feel good inside, so.
Well, I feel as like we're picking up steam. I'm getting a lot of people calling in wanting to be on our show.
Nice.
And I have one of those here with us today. In the studio with us today, we have Carrie Wallace. Carrie, what's up, girl?
What's up, Drewby?
Welcome
What's up,
to the
Trevor?
podcast.
Thank you.
How are you doing today, Carrie?
I'm doing amazing.
So I know that you have a topic that you really want to talk about, but before we cut you loose, we kind of have a little game we play with people in the studio.
Okay.
We'll just call it a Q&A. So we're going to fire off some questions for you just to get to know you a little bit, and then we'll answer them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start. My first question for you, Miss Carrie, is who is your celebrity crush?
It's funny. My husband and I talked about this a lot yesterday, and he's pulling up all these names, and I'm kind of weird. I'm more of a personality girl, not so much of a looks guy or a looks girl. So
Yeah, I've seen your husband, so I can attest to that.
So if I'm attracted to their personality, it kind of, not almost doesn't matter what they look like, but I would say my celebrity crush is Steve Carell. He's funny. He's a nice guy.
He's 70.
He's not.
I mean, he's old as shit.
I like the older, hello.
Steve Carell.
I like the salt and pepper hair, the older look. That's just,
You have guys
what I
like Mark
dig.
Wahlberg walking around, and you want to get on Michael from The Office.
fuck yeah, I do.
All right. Well, I mean, that's the beauty of this game. Your answer is your answer. I like
Right?
it. So
Let's hear your answer, Joe. Who's your celebrity crush?
that's a tough one. So I actually wrote down Mark Wahlberg in The Rock, but that's a little bit weird. So, I mean,
You can man crush. That's not weird.
yeah. Growing up, I was always in love with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Party of Five. I just, can't hardly wait. Man, I liked her, but so I don't know is she even a celebrity anymore?
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you.
I'm happily married, so I don't celebrity or not celebrity. I'm off the market.
Off the market, baby.
What about you?
I don't really have one. My fiance would give me shit, and she would tease me. She'd say that it's what's her name? Sophia Vergara off of Modern Family. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's got the accent and stuff. I don't know how that one came about, but Rihanna likes to tease me and tell me that that's my celebrity crush, so I'm gonna go with that one.
That's your gal, huh?
Yeah, that's my girl.
All right. Well, good answer.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one then. Drew, what's your biggest pet peeve, bud?
Oh, this one's easy. Lying.
Lying?
Absolutely hate liars.
Yep.
Yep. Just don't lie, steal, or cheat. But beyond that, I'm just gonna go lying. Be honest.
That one's kind of easy. Everybody, besides lying, without throwing, like, what just gets under your craw as you're sitting there?
Liars.
Mine's slurpers. I can't stand people that slurp their food.
That's a Noah. Have you ever eaten with him?
Oh,
He's
my
also the
God.
fucker that scrapes his teeth on
A
the
fork?
Yeah.
Oh.
Get the
Woo.
fuck out of here.
Dude,
No.
he'll give me goosebumps doing that, and he'll even have a plastic fork. I don't know how the fuck he does it with a plastic fork.
I got friends that slurp bread.
How do you slurp bread?
I don't know. It drives me fucking nuts. So, yeah, slurping's mine.
All right, what about you, boss babe?
I think one of my biggest pet peeves is avoiding an answer to a question.
Wow,
Yeah,
Like-
interesting.
that's a good one.
When
Like walking
you're-
around it.
Yeah, like when you're having a conversation and you're like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then they completely change the subject because they don't want to answer it. I think it's bullshit.
Right.
To me, in another form, that's like lying, kind of.
All right. Well, I say we shelve that, and when we do the episode on marriage counseling, you can come in and talk about that. Just teasing. I'm a little bit that guy.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, my wife tells me all the time, why don't you want to talk? I said, I don't want to lose the house.
'Cause I don't want to fight with you. I love you.
Yeah.
Let's just watch the movie.
That's right. You just, I don't know. That's a good one, though. I never thought about that.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
I'm going to be walking around all day telling the truth, answering every fucking question, and not slurping shit.
Good. We'd appreciate it if you didn't.
Right?
We'd like you a lot more.
Okay, let me fuck with you guys a little bit. What is a skill that you would like to learn?
Just one.
Well, I mean,
Just one.
it's only an hour, so yeah, let's just cut it to one. Like one skill you'd like to learn. Why are you staring at me with those weird fucking eyes right now?
Because I want to learn how to be like you.
I've seen that look one time, and that was on the Netflix special. Richard Ramirez was looking at the fucking courtroom like that. That's creeping me out.
I was pondering the question. It's a deep question.
It is a deep question. One skill, what is it, Trevor?
Welding.
Oh.
What are you going to
Why
weld?
not?
I don't know.
Anything.
Anything. It's lucrative. You can make money doing it.
Would
True.
you weld a slurper's mouth shut?
You goddamn better believe it. Yep, with the quickness.
What about you, Carrie?
I would love to learn to make jewelry.
Like macaroni necklaces,
No.
Friendship bracelets.
friendship
Yeah.
bracelets. There you
Okay,
go.
I'll take that. I just think
It's pretty
that'd be
easy.
really
It's just
cool.
like braiding fucking hair with string.
No, it's not.
I'll take you to Michael's
No.
when we're done here, get you some of that floss string,
Some
and
beads.
you'll have your own business tomorrow.
I mean, like
Carrie's best
actual-
friend's bracelets.
I mean, like actual, like real jewelry. Like my sister loves to do it, and I don't know how she's just so creative with it, but it's something that I would like to learn because I feel like I'm creative. I just don't have a creative outlet.
Well, shit. Maybe you should start jewelry making.
Right?
I saw a TikTok video on a guy like making a gold ring,
Mm.
like out of gold. Like he melted it and formed it, and like, yeah, it was pretty crazy how they do that.
Yeah,
I
it's
never
a
really
long
thought about that.
process.
Yeah,
Then you
cool.
have to solder it, like
Yep.
you have to seam it together and then sit and like sand and blend the seam so that the ring is smooth, it doesn't have a break in it.
Right.
Yeah. So you got a lot of work to do if you want to get to that level.
I know.
I'm going with art.
Any kind of art.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, I wish I could like draw and shit like that, man. Like just people that can just sit down and draw shit, I think is the most amazing skill ever.
Really?
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I can't do it. I try to draw you love notes on your paper last week and had to throw it away and print a new one because it
We
looked all
oughta-
fucking stupid.
We ought to do a show when we get our camera in here, and we'll do some Pictionary.
Ooh.
Get you all brushed up on your art skills.
All right.
All right. Well, from there with the making jewelry and stuff, this kind of goes in. What's the best gift you've ever been given? Have you ever been given jewelry?
Talking to me.
Either one of you. What's you? Yeah.
Yeah, I
You.
was
Oh, yeah.
given a wedding ring, but
It's-
best gift I've ever been given was this year.
Mhm.
My kids adopted a lion out of like Africa and gave it to me for Christmas. You know, so basically there's someone over there taking care of my lion. You know, kind of like those donate $19 a month and you can feed a hungry child. It's like one of those, but it's through the Wildlife Foundation.
They send you pictures of your
Fuck
lion?
yeah, I got him framed
That's
and
so
sitting on my
cool.
bookshelf. I named him Julian because the kids have swore they're not giving me a grandson named Julian, so I just named my fucking lion Julian.
Dude, I love you, but it almost sounds like a scam.
Well, don't ruin that, dude. It's not a scam. I own a fucking lion, just somebody else is taking care of it.
All right.
What about you?
Best gift I've been given. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one. I'm really not sure. I haven't been given a lot of gifts.
Okay. Well, what about you, Carrie?
That's a really hard question to answer. And I kind of have a weird answer. I think the best gift I was given was my parents because I'm adopted.
There you
Wow.
go. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, there goes my fucking lion.
I was going to say, see,
Oh my gosh.
And you don't even need to get back to us, Trevor, because like that's just set
Oh
the
my
bar.
god.
right? Yeah,
Right?
You own a lion. Someone gave you a lion.
She's got fucking parents.
He's got parents.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Well, you guys have parents too. It's just different. Like they've made me who I am, and they say it's a lot of nurture over nature, and some of that's true. But I wouldn't be who I am without my mom and dad.
Well, give them a shout out right now.
Thanks, mom and dad. Love you.
Wow. That was pretty touching.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got one last question for you. We'll start with you, Trevor.
All right.
What is your favorite candy?
Whatchamacallit. And gummy bears.
Ooh, I haven't had a whatchamacallit for years.
You don't get to pick two.
Yeah, I do. It's my candy. It's my favorite.
You know what I like to do with gummy bears? Like bite off their head and their torso and their feet, and then you stick them back together in all different colors. Have you ever done that?
No,
That's pretty fun.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of sticky, but
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
weird.
Well, I'll tell you what, my favorite candy is Sweet Ropes.
sweet ropes.
I don't know what it is about those fucking things, and I love them. And they've come out with a bunch of new flavors, and of course they're good, but there's nothing like that pink package of Sweet Ropes.
The ones with the nerds on them? Is that what you're
No.
talking about?
It's like looks like licorice with white cream filling or whatever.
They're
It's called a
so
fucking Sweet
good.
Rope.
We
Nope.
have a pack in the truck at all times.
There's a nerd
Sometimes
rope,
two.
which is what you're talking about,
Right.
which is basically like a red vine covered in nerds, and then there's a Sweet Rope.
I need to brush up on my candy game.
Yeah. What about you, Carrie?
My favorite candy is Skittles.
Just plain old red bag, or are you going wild berry?
I like wild berry. I think that's my favorite.
I would agree. If I'm going to eat a Skittle, I like the purple package.
Oh yeah.
They could do without the yellow.
In which one? The original one?
And original Skittles.
I could do it without all of them, but the
And
red
orange.
ones. Yeah. Have you ever? I think I read an article, and I don't know if this is true because I'm not a Skittle expert, but I think that they're all flavored the same, and they just color them, coat them different.
I'm calling bullshit.
What?
That's what my wife told me.
The other ones are gross.
She loves them.
So
That's
what is it like psychological? You can taste it because you think you can.
But they say they have the flavors on the back. I've read them. They changed the
they
green
taste
one.
different if
the-
you eat them individually.
Yeah, the green one used to
Look.
taste like
Don't get
mines
all
or
wound
something.
up, man. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Well, I'm just getting excited about it. I don't know too much about candy.
Here's another fun fact. You may or may not care, but I heard the mystery flavor of Airheads was just when they have the leftover after making all the flavors, they just mix them together, and that's the white one.
Nice, like a suicide airhead.
See, and I always thought it was one of the flavors that they just did white, and so it was a mystery. And it was actually my daughter-in-law who corrected me on that, and I was like, "You're talking to the wrong guy. I'm a candy expert," and I'll be damned, she was right. So if you're ever wondering what the white airhead is, that's what the fuck it is.
Well, fuck. Thanks, Willy Wonka. I appreciate it.
That's crazy.
Well, although candy's delicious, there's a group of people that actually like may or may not be affected by candy. I don't know, but that kind of leads us to our topic of the day. And the reason we have Carrie here with us is to maybe raise some diabetes awareness. Is that right, Carrie?
Yes, sir.
And this is very important to you because you are a diabetic.
Yep. Type 1.
Type 1 diabetic.
Yes.
Okay.
This will be a cool conversation, man.
Very cool.
I was talking to Carrie earlier, and I've had a couple people in my family that have diabetes, and they're not with us anymore. They're, they didn't die of diabetes, but I just really didn't know too much about it. So,
As I'm with you. Like
Right.
I know like the word diabetic or
Right.
diabetes. And
Right.
like when I think of diabetes, I just think of people like pricking their finger and putting it in a machine.
right.
But I don't really know too much about diabetes. So I'm pretty honored to have you here. And I know this is near and dear to you, especially where you live with it every day.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring some of this to light. All right, Carrie. Then what exactly is diabetes then?
So diabetes, it's an autoimmune disease. So they're like there's no cure. There's nothing you can do to get rid of it. So it's an autoimmune disease where your antibodies attack itself, and kind of like when you get like sick, your antibodies are released to like help you feel better or get better. And the antibodies will continue to eat not only the bad cells, but the good cells.
Now you say there's no cure for it. Why? Go back on that. Why would there be absolutely no cure for that?
There's no cure for it because your pancreas does not make insulin. Like once you get diabetes, once those antibodies are attacked, it switches something in your chromosomes. Everybody has a different theory. This is my theory. But it switches something in your chromosomes and your body just stops producing insulin, and that's it.
And it's your pancreas.
It's just your pancreas.
Then how come? Okay, here's one for you. You hear about people that get their pancreas removed. I always thought that the pancreas really that didn't really do anything. Isn't that what it is?
I mean, I've heard of gallbladder.
Is it pancreas? Is that what I'm thinking of?
I don't.
Oh no,
fucking know.
appendix. I was thinking appendix.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think you can live without your pancreas, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right because I think I was thinking appendix. So go on.
So basically,
My bad.
what you're saying is the food we eat's turned into essentially sugar.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what fuels your body. That's what's converted
Yes.
to energy to fuel your
Yes.
body. So someone who's a diabetic produces too much sugar or not enough.
So it produces too much because when you eat something and that energy is released in your body, insulin is also released at the same time to make sure it kind of disperses where it needs to go, if that makes sense. So if I eat something and I don't give insulin, my numbers shoot up and my blood sugar goes really high and it makes me sick. But when you guys eat something, even if you eat like a ton of candy or drink a bunch of soda, your body is still going to release that insulin. So you have energy throughout your body.
So
Keeps you healthy.
I kind of have a dumb question, and maybe it's because I'm dumb. But so insulin and glucose, are they like antonyms, like counter each other, or are they the same thing?
No, they're not the same thing. So glucose is sugar, and
Okay.
insulin is what your body gives off to this is so-
Regulate the sugar?
Yeah, it helps
Okay.
regulate your blood sugar.
So people with diabetes don't produce insulin.
No.
So if they eat something sugary, then that sugar isn't counteracted, and that's what causes them to. What does it make you sick?
It can, yeah.
Like hungover, like I'm gonna throw up sick, or just weary? Like I guess I don't.
It depends. Like if you go for a while and you're eating high, like even like food, because carbohydrates, anything you eat is going to turn into sugar besides like a protein. So if you're continually eating and eating and eating and you're not giving insulin to counteract that, to kind of even everything out,
To regulate everything.
yeah, to regulate everything, your blood glucose is going to continue to go up and up and up. And what happens is your body can go into what's called DKA, which is diabetic ketoacidosis. And it actually turns that glucose into an acid, which is very harmful for your body. So, like, it's kind of like the keto diet. Like, a lot of people do the keto diet to lose weight,
Right.
which for you guys is, well, depending on how you do it, it is completely healthy because you're burning off a lot of fat and sugar. So DKA is pretty much the same, but instead of like doing that in a healthy way, it affects every part of your body. Like, I've been into it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and it affects your heart. Like, my heart rate will accelerate. It makes it harder to breathe because that acid is trying to do everything it can to get out of your body. It eats away at the tissue on your muscles, so I'll get kind of crampy and sore.
Right.
Mhm.
All right.
You can throw up. You can get diarrhea, which is a bad sign. Both of those are a bad sign. And then eventually it starts attacking all of your organs and starts literally shutting your body down. Like, you're in the ICU, you could definitely die from this. And your blood glucose is anywhere from, the 400s up to 1,000. And a lot of people go into a diabetic coma and some don't make it out.
Well, then how do you regulate how do you know if you're getting, if you've got too much sugar or if you're having an episode, or what is that?
Like, do you feel it?
Do you feel it? Do you just know, like, hey, I need to eat some more sugar? Or
You can feel it, and a lot of diabetics can say, well, I can tell what my number is by how I feel, which isn't true. There's 2 ways that you can check your blood sugar to make sure, everything's okay. You can prick your finger, which is a lot of what diabetics do. Or you have what's called a continuous glucose monitor, which is what I have. And what that is it's something that I put mine on the back of my arm or my stomach. So you'll insert it with a needle, and then the needle comes out, and then it's almost like a piece of hair. It's a little bit thicker than a piece of hair. It's a wire that stays in and can kind of read your blood sugar after it's calibrated. Your body or your blood. This is hard for me to explain.
You're
Sorry.
doing great.
yeah, no. You're
So that will stay in you, and you wear it for 10 days. So literally all I have to do to see what my blood sugar is look at my phone, because it's transmitted from my arm on the transmitter to my phone or a receiver. So all I have to do is look and see.
All right.
The truest form of knowing what your actual blood sugar is going to be poking your finger. Always, always, always. So if you question it, you always poke your finger. But it's nice that I can just pull up my phone, or I can even look at my Apple Watch and push a button, and it'll say exactly what my blood sugar is.
So you say this stays in for 10 days. So once it's inserted, you don't touch it, and then in 10 days you take it out?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
in 10 days, you take it out and you move it to a different spot.
Oh, but you have to put it right back in.
Yeah.
So this is something you live with for the rest of your life if this is the route you want to go versus pricking your finger.
Yeah. You can do either, but this is a lot more convenient. I mean, I don't mind pricking my finger, but it's nice because the older I've gotten, the harder it's been for me to sense a high, my sugar going high or low. Sometimes I'll get them mixed up. That's why you always check your blood. But it's nice because when I start to drop low, a lot of the times I don't really feel it until I'm in like the 40s, which is extremely dangerous. You're not really supposed to go below.
So let me cut you off right there.
85.
You're referring to numbers. What does that mean in the 40s?
So when you're diagnosed with diabetes, they want you to stay in a certain range.
Want what to stay? Like
Your
sugar
blood
level?
glucose. Yeah,
Okay.
your blood glucose.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
So
Okay.
my blood glucose, I try to keep it between 80 to 150. And if it goes higher than that, then I'll give insulin. If it goes lower, it's because I have too much insulin in my body. That's why my sugar drops low. So then therefore I'll eat like Skittles or drink an apple juice, because when your bodies do that, it just regulates by itself.
So someone with diabetes then can be they either have to give themselves is it a shot, an insulin shot, or a piece of candy?
You can give a shot, or you can have what's called an insulin pump, which just does it for you.
Now, aside from just injecting insulin or whatever, is there any other medications that are, involved with having diabetes that you got to
For type 1, no.
Okay.
So the preferred method is to be able to get candy.
Candy, juice. It's kind of, I think it just depends on the diabetic. Like, what everybody has a different go-to.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'd rather eat a sweet rope than give myself a shot of insulin.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
So, okay.
You said type 1 for type 1 only. Okay, so let's touch on that for a minute. So what's the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes?
So type 1, your body is insulin resistant, which means, those antibodies have killed off a way for your body to produce that insulin. Type 2 is because your body just doesn't make insulin, I believe. Yeah, it just doesn't make insulin because it could be poor diet, poor exercise. I mean, is
it true too, people with type 2 diabetes, it doesn't make good use or regulate the insulin your body produces, right?
Yeah.
Now, is this something that you're born with, type 1 or type 2, or is it something you can develop later on in life?
That's the big question with type 1. There's so many different scientific ways that they've said you can get it, and they say it's genetic and then they say it's not genetic. I come from a family where I only had one person, I believe, that had type 2 diabetes, which is completely different than type 1. So for me, it wouldn't make any sense for it to be genetically passed on to me. But then there's my doctor he has 3 sons. He's also diabetic, and 2 out of his 3 have diabetes.
Now, I've heard that women can get like diabetes during pregnancy. Is that a whole different thing, or is that like diabetes the same?
That's called gestational diabetes.
All right.
So that 9 times out of 10, when you have it, you don't really give insulin. They just control that more with diet. And usually when you give birth, it's gone.
It just goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend whose fiance just had a baby like, I don't know, a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And I want to say it was like in the last month of that pregnancy, she developed gestational diabetes.
Right.
Right. The asshole I am, I just said, "Oh, sorry to hear that." But I don't really know what that, like, I don't know what the solution was, but I do recall him saying, or her saying, like, yeah, you just kind of monitor it, hope it doesn't get out of whack, and most of the time once the baby's born, it goes away.
Well, see, and that's what kind of threw me off, because my fiance, she had that, when she was giving birth to her daughter or whatever, when she had her daughter. And then I was like, well, that's kind of weird. What? It just goes away. So, all right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more common like with high pregnancies. I think it just, I do have a friend, she's having twins, and it is kind of a high risk pregnancy, and she got gestational. So that could be part of it too.
So what is it? Do you think like maybe just pregnant hormones is what causes insulin, sugar out of whack, or
Body's
what?
all out of whack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, hormones do have a lot to do with diabetes as well. So, that makes sense.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong in the limited knowledge I have on the subject, but type 2 diabetes is pretty much makes up 9 out of 10 cases of diabetes. So your form of diabetes, type 1, is a lot more rare and also a lot more serious. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same? Well, I guess it's not, because you explained your type 1 literally produces very little or no insulin versus type 2 diabetics, they produce insulin. Their body just doesn't really know how to use it.
It
Yes.
doesn't regulate.
And they can control that and actually get rid of type 2 80% of the time by exercising, eating a good diet, like being active. So if you're being healthy and taking care of yourself, a lot of the times you can get rid of it. And they don't usually give shots. Most of them, or most type 2 diabetics, can just take like a pill or a one-time shot once a week or whatever. It's not as serious. But I feel like as well with type 2, a lot of people get it when they're older. And by the time a type 2 gets diabetes, it can already have wreaked and caused a lot of damage to their body. So it's really important for them to do everything that they can to stay healthy and exercise to get rid of that.
So type 2 diabetes, that's more likely to come on later in life, per se, with someone that's not too active or healthy or watching, how they take care
I
of their
don't know
bodies.
anybody young that has type 2.
Huh. That's interesting.
So if I see a little kid who's got an insulin pump hooked to him and he's, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, whatnot, then
Chances are that's
he has
type
100%
Type
type
1.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
And you can be born with it, which is, I think, is so sad. And so I think that would be so scary as a parent.
If you didn't know that you had diabetes and say that you're young or whatever, how can you look out for that?
There are a lot of signs. I remember in elementary school from 5th, 6th grade up into my 7th grade year, which was when I was diagnosed. I had a lot of signs and symptoms. And my elementary teacher was actually the one that told my mom. I didn't gain weight for like 2 years. I wore the same clothes size, which is really odd.
So you didn't know that you had diabetes?
I had no clue.
What age were you when you found out?
I was 12.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit.
So my mom started getting me checked at during 5th and 6th grade because I had a lot of the signs and symptoms. Like after lunch, I would always have a stomach ache because I would eat a ton of food and drink a juice. And after a while, I would feel better. And I wasn't gaining any weight. And towards the end, the biggest sign was I was thirsty all the time. I could never quench my thirst. I drank and drank and drank and drank and drank water. And I would go to the bathroom like 5 to 7 times in the middle of the night. And my mom would cook these huge meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. And I remember in elementary school asking and begging my teachers for food, a couple hours after I had gotten there because I was still hungry. They almost called Child Protective Services on my mom.
Oh, wow.
Because they didn't think that she was feeding me. But I'd get home from school and have like a 4-layered peanut butter and honey sandwich and eat that, and an hour later still be hungry.
Now,
I'm Winnie the Pooh.
Were you still hungry because from the food that you were eating, it was trying to like take sugar out of that, or what's going on there? Why would you get more hungry, more thirsty?
So when your numbers are running high, your body burns off fat a lot quicker. And so when it keeps burning it off like that, it's like eating all of your energy and everything that you just put into your body, and then it's gone.
Right.
So she had me checked for almost 3 years, and I had no idea because I went to the doctor all the time because I did get sick easy when I was younger, and it took forever. And then I remember my 7th grade year, it was the morning of picture day, and my mom was doing my hair, and I was sitting in the bathroom and I was staring in the mirror, and all I could see were my eyes, and I passed out. And I woke up on the floor, and she was on the phone with 911, and an ambulance came. They checked my blood, and they said it was, I think, 360, which is high. That's bad. But I felt like later on down the road, I realized I was really lucky because a lot of people pass out and go into a coma.
And you're trying to, so this would be on the high end of that. You want to be at 150?
I want to stay below 150.
360.
Yeah. Wow. So they take me to Instacare. I pee in a cup, and the doctor comes in and says, "You have diabetes." And I didn't really know anything. Like my brother's friend had gotten it a couple months before and was in a coma for 3 weeks and almost died. So I thought that was going to happen. So I was terrified. And they said, no, we're just going to have you go down to Primary Children's Hospital. And I was in there for 4 days. They taught me how to give shots, count carbs, all that stuff. Gave everything to me and my parents and just sent us home and said, good luck.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
so let me ask you, I have a couple questions actually. I just want to get out of the way before I forget, but does artificial sweetener affect like your glucose levels, or is it just have to be pure sugar? Like, could you sit and drink Diet Coke all day long and not be
Yes.
affected?
Yeah, because it doesn't have any carbs in it.
Okay.
So, I don't think really any artificial sweeteners have carbs in it. So, any diet soda I can drink
All day long.
all day long.
Okay.
I mean, it's not healthy.
Right. But it doesn't affect your
No.
insulin sugar levels.
Mm-mm.
Another question I have is, when you check your blood or your pump tells you that you're low or high, and you either take insulin or you eat a piece of candy or drink juice or whatnot, like how instantaneously do you feel normal again? Is it pretty instant, or do you just feel like shit for a while?
That's a good question. When I was younger, it was pretty quick. The older I've gotten, if my blood sugar's high, I'll, push a few buttons on my pump. It'll give me insulin. And it takes quite a while now to come down. And depending on how high I am, I do feel like shit. I have a headache. My stomach hurts. I'm a kind of a raging bitch. I'm super ornery.
I think my wife might have diabetes.
I feel really bad for my husband when my blood sugar's high because I am not nice. And that takes a while. But once it comes down, I can start to feel it, and then I feel better, and then I just go about my day. It's fine.
So it's just however long it takes your body to metabolize it, I guess.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you have this device on you that you said you can look right from your phone or your Apple Watch. So, like, do you just periodically check that, or are you like such a diabetes expert now that you just know, shit, I need some Skittles, or like, is there a way to just consistently monitor that so you don't ever end up low or high, or is it just inevitable you're going to be low or high?
That's what the continuous glucose monitor does. And I probably check my phone, I'm not joking, at least 200 times a day to see what my blood sugar's at, because I honestly don't feel like I can really feel it anymore. And so I would rather stay on top of it and check it and nip it in the butt before something starts to happen. Because if you go too high or too low and you let it go on for too long, I mean, you could die either way.
Well, okay, that brings up another topic then. I wanted to find out like long-term effects or how it affects the body. Just some things I've read, and we kind of talked about like heart attacks and strokes.
Mm-hmm.
And you did say that you have like, you can feel it in your heart and things like that will race and such. But like what are, I guess, break it down for me. What's the best case scenario of effects of diabetes? And then, I mean, obviously the worst case scenario would be death, but prior to death, well, what are the effects on the body?
So if you don't take care of yourself, and that's why they call diabetes a silent killer, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can feel those effects immediately, but eventually they go away. And over time, if you're consistently not taking care of yourself, and you're doing a lot of damage to your body, I mean, you're doing damage to your eyes. You can get glaucoma in your eyes. You can get cataracts. I know some diabetics.
Hold on.
That have to
One
get shots
disease
in their
at a
eyes.
time.
But that's just your eyes. That's one part of your body. It affects everything.
I was gonna say sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I've noticed people, they have like compression socks on with like diabetes.
Bad circulation.
Or
That's another
is
one.
that what it is? Their body retains water or something, or people have their feet amputated. Why is it always people having their feet amputated?
Well, that goes into like nerve damage. So it can affect your hands. Usually it affects your lower limbs because there's not always good circulation down there for diabetics. So
if you get to that point, like, are
It's
you
bad
just
news.
are you just fucked? Like, do you ever
It
have things where you're
depends.
like, shit, I can't feel
Yeah,
my feet, and then it goes away, or is it like when you get to that point,
You're fucked.
I usually don't see people bouncing.
You
back
don't
from
come
that.
back from that.
Yeah.
If you have that damage, it's like it's done. You can do things to make it better, and you can do things to help with the side effects and stuff like that. But once that's started, it's done. You're fucked. So, like diabetics losing limbs and things, it can start with a toe, and it's because they don't feel anything, so they'll scrape it or whatever, and then they get an infection, and then the infection just keeps going up, and they have to keep amputating. Literally.
So why? I mean, what is their levels to diabetes? Why does someone get their leg cut off and or die, and somebody else can live I mean, I don't want to say a fine life because it sounds like a pain in the ass to check your sugar levels all day long. But I would imagine there's people out there that live pretty normal lives with diabetes outside.
Yeah, there is tons.
outside of like, yeah. So what? I mean, what is it? Is there?
You have to take care of yourself.
Maintaining your
You have to maintain
Your
your blood
health.
sugars. You have to eat healthy. Eating healthy is really important as well. Just being on top of your sugars and just not being pretty much a lazy diabetic. Because, well, everybody goes through it. Like, diabetics can have burnouts where they just don't give a shit. I mean, I went through that recently. That's why I got a continuous glucose monitor and a pump, because I needed a kick in my ass to get my shit together.
Drew and I, we make it, sound like it's a big pain in the ass. Is it a pain in the ass, or is it pretty easy to maintain once, you have all the knowledge and what to look for? Is it getting complacent as to why you don't?
Yeah, you just
Really?
get tired of
Right,
it.
yeah.
You just don't give a fuck after a while.
Okay.
Because it's
All right.
the average diabetic, or a diabetic can make an average of 250 decisions a day just about their diabetes.
Yeah, that sounds like.
I
pain in the
mean,
ass.
it never
I can't even count that high.
it never goes away. It's 24/7. You don't ever get a break from it. Like, you
Okay,
can
well,
stop
listen.
thinking about it.
Hold on, I want to just keep your thought. But so you said that 24/7. Do you have to wake up in the middle of the night and check your shit, or do you just sleep through it and then just in the morning?
You don't have to, but if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll tap my phone and see what my blood sugar is. Every fucking time.
What about people that drink, that go out and drink and stuff?
That's a slippery slope.
I was gonna say that would probably be rough. There's a lot of sugars and stuff in
Slurpery
alcohol.
slope.
That's
or
a slurpery. We don't do that.
Slurpery
We
slope.
don't do that.
How you like that, Trevor?
Hit the hey fuck you button, man.
Nope.
The sugar in alcohol is very different
I would imagine so.
than regular sugar or carbohydrates. So it just depends on what you drink. Like, if I went out and drank White Russians all night, which is a shit ton of sugar,
Right.
But delicious.
they are delicious. I have to give a shit ton of insulin, or if I don't, like,
You're
I'm
gonna feel the
probably going to the
repercussions.
hospital.
Can you
Right.
pre-prep, or do you like just load
can
up on
pre-prep.
insulin and say, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking drinking
Well,
4 White Russians tonight"?
I can do that. I can give a shot before I drink it and wait like 5 or 10 minutes and then drink it. I mean, you can, but you only do that like with the first 2. I mean, after you've had 2 or 3, you're like, I don't care. I just turn down my pump and just say, fuck it. Have a good night.
So if somebody gives you a share size bag of Skittles, is it like shot for shot, you eat a Skittle, shoot some insulin, or like is that how you regulate it, or do you just say you just make that decision that you're going to eat Skittles and maybe pay the price later?
I always am checking my blood throughout the night. It doesn't matter how drunk I am. I still think about it. I'm always looking. If I'm starting to drop a little bit, I'll stop drinking for a minute, and maybe I'll have like a handful of Skittles or a sandwich or something. And I always turn my insulin down because I can control how much insulin is going in my body with my pump. So I'll just turn it down a little bit. And when I drink, I usually stay in the 200s, which isn't recommended.
How
It-
about
Go ahead.
nicotine or like smoking or vaping?
Is there sugar in vape juice?
I think that there's glucose.
I don't
in,
vape.
Oh.
It's caca.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I wonder where that sits for. Because
I
I
don't-
think there is sugar in vape juice.
I don't know. You know what? That's a good question.
That is a good
That's
question.
yeah. 'Cause I was wondering if you're sitting there sucking on a huffer all day, if there's sugar, in it, it's probably going to affect you some, right?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I get.
Well,
I mean,
it's
if
being
sugar's
absorbed
sugar,
into
right?
your system.
Right.
Because the quickest way, like if your sugar goes low, the quickest way to get sugar in your body is through your
mouth.
gums.
Right.
So that's a good question. I've never noticed nicotine affecting my sugar, but every diabetic's different. You could put 10 diabetics in a row, all type 1, and maybe a couple of them will have some of the same symptoms, but every one of them is different.
Because their bodies obviously work different.
Everybody's body is different.
I'm a little confused. You keep referring to a pump. Is that different than the little thing that's in your arm or your back?
Yeah.
So what is that? Is that like implanted in you permanently?
So a pump, it's in my stomach. I can change it every 3 days. It's kind of like an IV. So you'll put it in. There's a tube over the needle. Put it in. Take the needle out. The tube stays in you. And then I'll show you my pump. It's just this little guy right here.
Oh, it looks like a little mini iPhone.
Right. Well,
Oh, wow.
a lot of people ask me if I carry a pager, and I just say yes.
Right.
So
I would.
But there's insulin in it.
I sell drugs.
There's
Why would anybody fucking ask that question?
You
They
know
don't
what?
even exist.
No.
Nobody has a nobody has a fucking pager anymore.
Can I tell you how many fucking times people have asked me if I'm doing drugs when I give a shot? No joke.
Right.
No joke.
I'd tell them, hell yeah, I am.
I'm like,
And
yeah,
mind your own business.
I am. I made it and I put it in this nice little vial and then I put it in my body in open public.
It's called insulin. Get yourself.
Yeah.
No, okay. So the insulin pump, there's insulin in the device itself. And when I want to give insulin, instead of giving a shot, I'll just calculate how much insulin I want to give and I'll push a button and it delivers it through this tube and then into the tube in my stomach. And so it just goes in my body.
Wow.
So you're like bionic woman. You got pumps and all kinds of stuff.
I'm
Monitors
not going to
and-
lie. I do feel that way sometimes.
Now, here's one. Have you ever pulled one out? Does that hurt?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
What, the pump?
Either one.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
I mean,
God. I've never had a CGM ripped out because the
okay,
tape
what's
on there,
is that
that's
the one
the
on your arm?
continuous
Okay.
glucose monitor.
All right.
I've never ripped one out. I've only had that for a year. I've never ripped that out. I hope I don't because that would really hurt. The pump hurts too, but like, I mean, this cord, I have a really long cord on mine so I can sleep with it under my pillow. So if it's not like tucked in my pants, it gets caught on everything.
Yeah, I'd die. I've got a dog,
Everything.
and I'm just
Oh, yeah.
so
No.
complacent. That
We
I-
have
yeah.
2 dogs and, we have a puppy.
Right.
His name's Bodie, and he's just like, he's ripped it out twice. Doorknobs.
So that has to come out
anything.
every
Right,
3
right.
days?
Yeah, I change that every 3 days myself.
In and out.
Mm-hmm.
Does it hurt?
Like in a
or-
new spot, or you always put it back in the
New
same
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's new spot. The CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, that one stings sometimes, but my pump actually doesn't. They're both spring loaded. So when I wish I should have brought one. When I put my pump side in, I'll just like cock it back kind of like a gun and I hold it on there and I'll squeeze it together and it just shoots into my
I
skin.
want to get one and shoot it in your ass, Trevor.
You know what? It does not hurt. And I have so
take one
much
for the
scar
team.
tissue.
I'd let you shoot one in my
It's
ass.
not bad.
Oh, your blood's a little high. A little high.
Yeah, that's weird though. When you're telling me you think my blood's high and you need to put something in my ass,
A lot of sap.
Trev, I think your blood's high again. Let's put it in your ass again. It's the only cure.
The sweet rope.
Yep.
It's not bad.
Well, I mean, it's either that or you can slurp it.
Slurp the insulin out. Where the hell did we go from here?
I don't know. Carrie led us there. It's just
I did.
dirty.
That's my
Dirty.
fault.
So you got to do that shit. Like, I mean, every 3 days on the pump, every 10 days on the CGM. So it's kind of a lot of maintenance.
Oh my God. And can you imagine, like, before this, when I didn't have my pump and I didn't have my continuous glucose monitor, and there are a ton of diabetics out there that do that because they can't afford all that shit because it's being diabetic is fucking expensive.
I was gonna say, what's the cost for you to get your insulin and whatnot?
Well, mine's free because I'm my husband's military insurance, and I'm so grateful for that. But like just a vial of insulin, which is just like a small bottle and depends on each diabetic how long it lasts. I mean, they're like $200-$300.
And that's every day. Are you going through a whole?
You don't go through a bottle
Okay.
every day.
All right.
Like I probably go through a bottle in a month.
Isn't there something I heard someone was griping about? Trump lowered insulin to like $100, and now Biden raised it to
He capped it to
like
30.
1,800 or something like
He
that.
capped it to 30.
They're doing good
Or
things
35.
in DC, really. Right
I am not going to get into politics with Biden.
Yeah, no,
On
I'm
the
not trying to go
insulin
down
thing?
but is that true? Like they lowered the price of it and one raised the price of it. Is that right?
Technically, he hasn't raised it.
Oh,
Yet.
I don't.
what does that do to people? Like if you need, I mean, that's kind of
It
fucked
screws them
up,
over.
right? If you need insulin and it's
Yeah,
that
it's fucked
expensive.
Do you know how many people die from that?
I was just gonna say,
I
you
don't.
said that you get yours,
lot.
for free through your husband's whatever. That's got to be a big deal to
Oh my
somebody
God.
that doesn't have any kind of.
I had a drawer full of insulin, and it was probably like $10,000 to $15,000. No
so
joke.
what do those machines cost? Are they? You say they're expensive. Like I mean,
The pumps.
well, that and the CGM thing.
So
you
the
said.
pump by itself is like $2,000 to $3,000. That's how much this one was. But-
$2,000 to $3,000.
And then the CGMs, which you get a 90-day supply at a time. And for that, it's, I don't know, maybe $1,200-$1,300
Every 90 days or
Yes.
every 90?
every
But-
90 days.
But you're only replacing it every 10 days, you said, right?
Yeah.
So,
So you'll get a
9 of them.
Yeah, you'll get 9 of them. Plus, you have to put the transmitter in there, which is the little thing that's on top. It's not what's in your arm, and that's what Bluetooths your glucose to your phone. And those are $400 or $500 a pop.
Holy shit.
So I Googled, well, it was probably a couple years ago, just how much money you would spend on diabetes insurance or no insurance. It's like $35,000 to $40,000 a year. It honestly can be.
Is it covered by insurance?
It depends on what insurance you have. Some insurances will cover a small portion. Some insurances will cover.
What do they cover?
big
Just
portion.
the insulin, or would they help you get equipment too?
Some insurances won't help you get equipment. They won't pay for a CGM. They won't pay
Or they say it's
for an insulin pump.
unnecessary?
They say it's unnecessary. Like that's pretty much, yeah. The military is kind of like that too. They think of it as like a luxury item
because you could
because you can
technically you could
monitor it.
yourself.
Yeah, you can monitor it without all that stuff.
Would you say that having those, like maybe for a kid, is probably more
Yeah,
almost like
1,000%.
right?
Is there charities and shit where people raise money to get this equipment for kids, or are you just kind of on your own, or
You can start a charity. You can start a GoFundMe account. You can reach out to the companies themselves, and sometimes they can help too. But
I know a kid,
It's
this is a
kinda
true
stingy.
story. I know a kid that Landon played baseball with, that they got a dog, like a
service dog.
sniffing dog that he ended up like, I mean, he was older when he was diagnosed with diabetes. I want to say high school or really late junior high. And yeah, they got a dog that he could just smell and tell you if your shit was out of whack.
Yep.
Right.
And he would take him to school. He would sleep with him. Yeah, it was a service dog for diabetes.
they're really expensive too.
Well, let me ask you this, Carrie. Okay, so you said it's different for everybody, and I imagine it would be. What's the best way for you to maintain your diet for diabetes for just a normal day? I mean, do you know if you eat the same things every day, you're going to be all right? Do you have like a strict
No.
regimen that you stay on?
It doesn't in my with my diabetes, I mean, I am not a healthy eater. I'm not going to lie. I don't like fruits and vegetables. I'm the worst diabetic ever with food.
Well, it's fruit. Fruit would affect
Fruit
it, right?
has a shit ton of sugar anyway.
Right.
So diabetes is so unbelievably unpredictable. You could eat the same thing every day
and have different levels.
You could,
every
and
day.
your blood glucose could shoot up one day like super high, or you can drop low for no apparent reason.
Wow.
You did everything that you were supposed to, the same amount of insulin that you give every time, and it's never the same. Emotions affect it, stress affects it. Every little thing that goes on in your life will affect your diabetes. That's just how it is.
If you were going to give somebody just one piece of that equipment, what would be more user friendly, like the pump or the CGM? Like, which is harder to do? Give yourself insulin or monitor your blood sugar?
Which is harder?
Yeah, like if you were a kid and you had to
Yeah, it sucked to have to prick your finger as a kid every, you know what I mean?
Well,
every
and you
10
can
minutes or whatever.
prick your finger 4 to 10 times a day.
Right.
But you have to give shots along with most of that too.
or you get to eat candy.
Or you get to eat candy if your sugar's low. That's true.
I would be the low sugar guy.
If I was a parent, I would rather my child have a continuous glucose monitor just so I know what they're at so I
Right.
can help them.
Right.
But either way, they're going to get their finger pricked a lot or they're going to get shots a lot. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Is that something you get used to?
For
Pricking your finger in the shots?
For
does it-
me,
yeah.
I feel like I was lucky to get it at 12 because I was pretty resilient. I got it and that was it. And that was my life. People that get it at an older age, like in their 20s, 30s, whatever, which you can. For me, that's a huge lifestyle change. Living a certain way for 20 something years, 30 years, whatever.
Right.
And you've done the same thing. And now all of a sudden you have to poke your finger, control it, this and that and whatever. And that's a huge lifestyle change.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that would be hard.
Right.
So I didn't really care. It was like, I didn't have diabetes and now I have it. This is my life. Cool.
So what's been the most personally challenging thing for you living with diabetes?
I think the burnouts, just getting tired of being diabetic, those are hard because they can last a couple months. They can last a couple years. The last one I went through lasted almost a year.
And there's nothing that an average Joe can do to help somebody with diabetes, right?
They can support you and like educate themselves, or you can teach them to help you. But, you know, it's your disease. You're the one that feels it. You know, so I guess I would just say support and not saying, well, you can't eat that. Don't eat this. Well, you can't eat that because you're diabetic. Like, diabetics can eat whatever the fuck they want. They just have to give insulin.
You just got to maintain.
Yeah,
Here's a
you
serious
just have to
question.
maintain it.
Can diabetics drink a 12-pack of Black Cherry Fresca in a day?
Yes.
Figured you'd know the answer to that.
That's my favorite, but it is sugar-free.
So you were probably bumming when Corona hit and they discontinued Fresca for a while.
You know, I was sad for a little bit, but then I spent like over $100 and got like 28 cases, 12 packs of Black Cherry Fresca, so I'm good.
And you ain't got to be that scared. You can go get a squirt. It's the same damn drink.
No, Squirt has sugar in
Squirt has sugar, and
Never mind. Don't take my advice.
Diet Squirt is not good.
Okay.
So I guess my final question for you would be, will your diabetes, and I just mean you personally, I don't know, you keep saying everybody's different, so I know we can't categorize everyone, but will yours get worse and eventually possibly kill you, or is it just this constant disease now that you just will maintain the rest of your life?
Both. I would say both. Just because, I mean, when you go through those burnouts, you are causing damage to your body. I don't know what that's going to look like. down the
Burnout
road.
meaning I'm not checking
Like
my
you
blood,
don't-
I'm just
Yeah,
eating
Yeah, you
shit,
check it
whatever
like
I
once
want.
a day. You just give like the lowest amount of insulin that you have to just kind of survive through the day. I am a little worried about some of the effects, but I've had it for almost 25 years. So my doctor said I would have started to see some of that and I haven't. So I'm pretty lucky with that. But I do think it will shorten my lifespan for sure. And I think that I will go. I'll go before my husband. I do.
From diabetes.
It could be.
Right.
It could be the effects. It could just, take its toll on my body. I'm really scared to get dementia. Low blood sugars can cause dementia.
That'd be maybe. What is dementia? Where you don't remember anything?
You don't remember
Yeah,
shit.
if I was married to your husband, I'd probably want that. I'd fucking pretend I had it half the time.
Don't worry about your phone today, baby.
That's what he does.
I love you.
That's why he's not answering your questions. Well, Carrie, real quick, then I'm going to give you the platform that you asked me for. You said that you really wanted to come on and talk about diabetes, but more importantly, to raise awareness for diabetes. Now, we do have about 18 listeners. So what would you say to those 18 people? Here's your moment
Oh boy, that's a lot of pressure.
to soapbox.
So I would just say for people, just educate yourself. Like, when someone has cancer or any other kind of disease, like you kind of know what happens and things you can and can't do to help them. I would just say educate yourself. Don't be ignorant about the disease, because a lot of the times if like a diabetic has a reaction and they don't have a medic alert bracelet on or something like that, they don't really know what to do. And they always say the wrong things. Oh, his sugar's low. So you have to give him insulin, and you just killed him.
So what would you do in that situation?
Yeah,
Funny-
how would someone
How
on
do
the
you know?
outside know?
Well, just call 911.
There you go.
If don't do anything unless you know how to check their blood. Don't do anything. Don't try to feed them anything. Nothing unless they're awake and they're saying, my blood sugar is high, I need insulin, or my blood sugar's low, I need candy or juice or something. Don't do anything. Just call 911. Like, they'll wear I have a medic alert bracelet, and I have a tattoo that says type 1 diabetic.
I would probably go into Martin Lawrence mode.
And
Blue
just
streak.
shove a candy
I
rope
got
up someone's
this.
ass.
Right?
I got this. So wait a minute. Does every diabetic wear a bracelet?
They're supposed to.
What does it look like? I mean, it just looks like a friendship bracelet that you made.
Well, Brian, my husband got me this from, I don't remember what website.
Hey.
It says type 1 diabetes,
Oh shit!
It
It's
says
really
Skittles on
pretty.
the other side.
right? Because a lot of them aren't that pretty. They're hard to find, or you'll wear a necklace and you have that big
Oh, so there's
medic
a
alert
million
sign.
different
things.
things.
There's a million different ways
Okay.
you can
See,
wear
Carrie,
one.
you could start making diabetic
Yeah, there
jewelry.
you go. There's your
I
jewelry
could.
making business.
there?
Holy
Boom.
shit!
Could. I'd
Wow.
have to learn how to make jewelry first.
Boom.
But just educate yourself. Educate yourself. And I am trying to raise more awareness for diabulimia, which is an eating disorder where diabetics will run their sugars really, really high and not give insulin to stay skinny. Because that's how a lot of girls.
So that's like a
That's
cheating way to
40
do the keto diet.
Yes,
is what you're
that's
saying.
40% of women that are diabetic, including teenagers, have diabulimia. There's no awareness for it. There's no technical term. There's no clinics. You can put them in an eating disorder clinic, but it doesn't help tackle both. So what I'm trying to do right now is raise more awareness for that. I want to write my congressman and tell them, like, there needs to be a more awareness of this. Like, there needs to be a clinic. And there was a website and a place you could go to, but the UK and Australia pulled the funds because of COVID. So now there's literally nothing you can do.
Is there a support group somewhere like Alcohol Anonymous meetings? Do they have like diabetic support groups?
I haven't been able to find any in Utah at all.
Well, I mean, can you like create one? Then?
I want to.
Wow.
I want to start. Well, I need to educate myself.
All of you that are
More.
listening,
Right.
help Carrie create. a
Carrie Herding
diabetic-
Wallace on Facebook if you need information. I do want to create a support group, not just on Facebook, but to where people can sit down and like talk about things. But I also want like a diabetic nutritionist to come in and a doctor, and it's really serious because you kill yourself a lot quicker when you have diabulimia, like really fast, and it's not healthy.
It doesn't sound like it.
No, it's so bad for your body. So I'm going to write I've been kind of slacking on this, but I want to write my congressman. There's another congressman I want to write that she's diabetic. I can't remember her name either, but I'm going to start a GoFundMe page on my Facebook to raise awareness and just do anything I can to get the word out and let people know, like, if you're going through this, you're not alone. I have never experienced it myself. I think I did it when I was younger without knowing that I was doing it.
You're talking about the bulimia.
The diabulimia. Yeah. I didn't know that that's what was keeping me skinny. But I mean,
It was either that or the speed.
probably. Or the Skittles. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, they have to have a place to be able to go to sit and talk and get help from the diabetic side and an eating disorder side, because why isn't that shit out there for them?
I don't know.
Exactly. And have you ever heard of diabulimia?
No.
No, that's my point. Like,
I've heard of bulimia.
exactly. There's bulimia and there's anorexia.
Right.
And a lot of people that have diabulimia can have both. Like, it's just a fucking shit show. And there's nobody out there to help them with both at the same time. That's my goal by the end of the year, is to get donations and start a charity and a GoFundMe page and raise awareness, at least in Utah, just to let people know that they're not alone, that there's support groups, and be able to try to get something together where they can be educated, not really educated, but helped, and know that they're going to get help.
Well, I have a good friend, Anna, that I don't want to like reveal too much of what she does, because I don't know if I'm allowed to, one, but two, to be honest with you, I don't really know. But I know that when it comes to this kind of stuff and avenues for help for all sorts of issues, that she is a really good resource. And you know Anna.
I do. I love
So
Anna.
Maybe you should reach out to her. She could probably help you in figuring out a way to go about accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
Right.
I wish I had 10 million listeners so that you could accomplish that here. But for those of you who do listen, spread the word.
Yeah, go ahead and comment. Leave a comment. You guys can talk to each other, through whatever means possible. But I'm glad that we have this platform here that we can
Right.
share some of this.
Contact me on Facebook. Like I said, my name's Carrie Harding Wallace. It's
That with a K, right?
Kari. I'm pretty sure my profile is public. If not, I'll change it today. But something needs to be done. I want to cause a big fucking stink in Utah, raise awareness, and I want to be able to even like get on TV or get on the news and just do something, because no one's doing anything.
Well, Carrie, we know that you touched at least 18 more people today. So,
I hope so.
but we want to thank you for being on the show, and thanks for helping bring awareness and do that. Anybody listening, go to Carrie's Facebook page and talk to each other.
I will start a GoFundMe today.
Right, and let's get more awareness out. Carrie, I want to ask you a question. Living with diabetes, do you feel that your glass is half empty or half full?
With diabetes, I just kind of look at it. It is what it is, but I would never wish it on my worst enemy ever. It's awful. But I am 100% a glass half empty girl.
I like it.
There it is. Half empty, negative Nelly.
I call it being realistic.
No, that's being negative and pessimistic.
Being a pessimist.
All right. Well, appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Carrie.
Trevor,
Thank
it was
you
a
so much
pleasure.
for having
Drew,
me.
love you,
We'll
bud.
see you guys all next week.